You didn't just randomly bump into them one day, like two passing strangers crossing paths by chance. That person didn't simply appear in your life out of nowhere, as if pulled in by some random twist of fate or bad luck. No, it wasn't an accident at all. They saw something in you long before you even realized it yourself. Something rare. Something genuine. Something that stood out to them in a way that made them decide, consciously or not, that they needed to get close to you. They noticed the way you give freely of yourself. The way you listen with real care. The way you show up for others, without hesitation. They saw your light, the warmth, the depth, the strength, hidden beneath what might have seemed like quiet kindness. And once they spotted it, they went after it on purpose, with intention, because that's exactly what they were looking for. Maybe they came into your life boldly and brightly, sweeping you off your feet with attention so intense it felt like being lit on fire from the inside out. Like every part of you was finally being seen and celebrated in a way you hadn't experienced in a long time. If ever, or maybe their approach was more subtle, quieter. At first, they were gentle, thoughtful, deeply tuned into everything you said, making you feel like no one had ever listened to you quite like that before. Either way, the effect was the same. They made you feel special. They made you feel understood. They made you feel like you had finally found someone who truly got you. Someone who saw the real you beneath the surface. And that feeling, it was powerful. Maybe even intoxicating. Because when someone makes you feel that seen, that known, it can feel like love, or at the very least, like something meaningful. But the truth is, that was exactly what they wanted you to feel. Not because they were offering something real, but because they were trying to pull you in. Every word, every gesture, every moment of connection, they used it intentionally to draw you closer. To hook your heart, to make you believe that you had found something rare. And that's how they got inside your world. Not by accident, but by design. Now, looking back, things don't add up the way they used to. The love feels hollow. The memories are laced with confusion. And somewhere between the beginning and the end, you lost parts of yourself, trying to keep up with someone who never really showed up for you. Not fully, not honestly. So now you're asking the question every survivor asks at some point, why me? Well, I'm here to tell you something most people won't. They didn't choose someone broken. They chose someone whole. Someone full of light. Someone who still believed in love, even when they stopped believing in people. Let's talk about why you were chosen. Because once you understand this, healing becomes more than just surviving. It becomes reclaiming the power they tried to take. When we hear the word narcissist, our minds often jump straight to arrogance, control, manipulation, lies. We imagine someone cold, calculating, emotionally detached. But the truth is, narcissists aren't always loud or obvious. Some wear masks of kindness, generosity, even vulnerability. They can be incredibly charming, persuasive, and emotionally intelligent in ways that make them almost impossible to resist. But behind all that charm, there's an emptiness. Narcissists often live behind a mask, a carefully constructed false self that they present to the world. It's not something they choose consciously. It's something they develop out of necessity, usually as a way to cope with deep emotional wounds from their past. These wounds often stem from childhood experiences marked by neglect, abandonment, or emotional abuse. Situations where they learned early on that love and attention were conditional. As a result, many narcissists never develop the ability to truly regulate their emotions in a healthy way or form genuine, stable connections with others. Because of this, they struggle with something most people take for granted: the ability to feel whole within themselves. Instead, they rely heavily on external validation to feel seen, valued, and important. They seek constant affirmation, not because they're simply vain or selfish, but because internally they feel fragile, insecure, and incomplete. Without that outside reinforcement, their sense of self begins to unravel. That's why they build this false identity, one that's designed to impress, charm, and command attention. It's not about confidence, it's about survival. This image they project is meant to elicit admiration, approval, and emotional fuel from others. But beneath it all lies a person who has never fully learned how to connect authentically, how to give love without strings attached, or how to be vulnerable without fear of rejection. So instead of working on inner stability, building self-worth from within, they look outward. They need mirrors, people who will reflect back their idealized version of themselves. People who will make them feel special, powerful, and worthy without questioning the cracks beneath the surface. And that's where you come in. If you found yourself involved with a narcissist, I want you to understand that it wasn't random. You weren't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You were chosen not because you were weak or flawed, but because you had what they needed. You carried qualities they lacked, but deeply desired. You have empathy, the ability to feel deeply for others, to understand pain even when it's hidden behind walls. You have authenticity, a presence that feels real, grounded, and unfiltered in a world full of masks. You have emotional depth, an inner richness that allows you to connect with others on a level most people never reach. You have compassion, that natural instinct to care, to forgive, to believe in people even when others wouldn't. And perhaps most importantly, you have the ability to give without expectation, to offer love, support, and energy freely, even when it isn't returned. These are not weaknesses, they are your greatest strengths, and while they made you a target, they also make you incredibly powerful. Because these are the very traits that will help you heal, grow, and move forward with clarity and purpose. These are the very qualities that make you beautiful, human, grounded, and also vulnerable to someone who doesn't have them. Think about it. Narcissists don't target people who are emotionally unstable or chaotic themselves. Those relationships become battles for control, and narcissists hate instability. Instead, they look for people who are emotionally mature, kind-hearted, and generous, people who will offer support, understanding, patience, even when the narcissist gives nothing back. They go after the strong hearts, the big souls, the ones who still believe in second chances and healing. Because these people are easy to manipulate. Not because they're weak, but because they're wired to give. You might have noticed it early on, their intensity, their need to know everything about you, their passionate declarations of love. But it wasn't genuine. It was strategic. Psychologists call this behavior love bombing. It's one of the first tools narcissists use to hook their ideal targets. They mirror your interests, your values, even your emotional language. They create a sense of connection so quickly and intensely that you start to believe you've found your soulmate. But again, it's not love. It's survival instinct. They're scanning you for weaknesses. Your empathy, your tendency to explain things away, your fear of confrontation, your desire to fix people. They test your limits subtly at first, then push harder once they realize you'll bend rather than break. And that's when the cycle begins. One moment you're floating, the next, you're drowning. They pull away suddenly, criticize you, out of nowhere, cancel plans last minute, flirt with others openly, then act surprised when you're upset. You start doubting yourself. You search for reasons to justify their behavior. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's trauma, maybe they're just going through something. But deep down, something feels off. Like you're living two versions of reality at once. One where you're loved and respected, and another where you're invisible, questioned and blamed. This is called gaslighting, a psychological manipulation tactic where the narcissist makes you doubt your own memory, perception, or judgment. Over time, you stop trusting yourself. You rely more and more on them to tell you what's true. And that's when the narcissists knows they've got you. But let me remind you, none of this happened because you were flawed. None of it happened because you asked for it. You didn't do anything wrong. You simply showed up with an open heart in a world where not everyone knows how to hold one. You were chosen not because you were weak, but because you were strong enough to carry more than your fair share. Here's the thing about narcissists. They don't actually seek out real, meaningful relationships built on trust, respect, and mutual growth. That's not what they're wired for. Instead, they look for something else entirely: supply, emotional fuel, adoration, attention, validation, anything that temporarily fills the emptiness inside them. And the people they go after aren't chosen at random. They target those who naturally give these things without hesitation. People who still believe in love, in kindness, in compassion, in second chances. People who show up with open hearts, even when the world has taught them to be cautious. People like you. That's who you are. You give freely, you feel deeply, you care intentionally. And that's exactly why they needed you. Not because you were weak or vulnerable, but because you had something they lacked. Something real. Something authentic. Something they couldn't manufacture within themselves. So they came into your life, not to build something lasting, not to grow alongside you, but to take from your presence, to use your empathy as a tool, your kindness as leverage, your love as fuel. That doesn't make you naive. It makes you human. It shows how capable you are of giving without expecting anything in return. But here's the powerful part. Once you understand this pattern, the way they operate, the reason they targeted someone like you begin to reclaim your power, not through anger or vengeance, but through awareness, through clarity, through the simple but profound realization that you were never the problem. You were the source of something they desperately wanted, but could never create on their own. The very traits that made you a target are the same ones that will help you heal and thrive moving forward. Your empathy is not a weakness, it's one of your greatest strengths. Your intuition, that quiet voice inside whispering warnings before your mind catches up, is worth listening to. Your boundaries, the lines you draw to protect your peace, are absolutely necessary. And your heart, no matter how much it may have been tested, is deserving of true care, respect, and love. You were never meant to be anyone's emotional fuel. You were never supposed to serve as a reflection for someone else's false self. You were always meant to shine brighter than ever before, to live from a place of truth, strength, and self-worth. So if you walked away from that relationship feeling broken, hurt, or confused, I want you to shift the story you tell yourself. Because you weren't broken by them. You were awakened to the truth of who you are and what you deserve. That painful experience showed you what real boundaries look like. It forced you to ask yourself deep, uncomfortable questions. Questions like, who am I when no one else is watching? What am I truly willing to tolerate? How much am I worth? Not just in relationships, but in life. Those moments of self-reflection might have felt heavy at the time, maybe even unfair. But they were necessary, because now you know the answers. Now you see things more clearly than you did before. You've grown deeper in your understanding of yourself and others. You've become stronger in ways that matter, and you've developed a level of awareness that many never reach until they've gone through something similar. You've learned how to listen to your gut again, even when you doubted yourself in the past.
You've discovered how to walk away, not impulsively or out of fear, but out of knowing, out of certainty, out of the deep inner truth that told you it was time to let go.
You were chosen by a narcissist, not because you were weak, not even close. You were chosen because you carried strength they could never generate within themselves. Strength that comes from vulnerability, from authenticity, from the courage to love deeply, even when love isn't returned. And now that you've come out the other side, that strength is yours to protect, to nurture, to carry forward. Because you didn't lose yourself in that relationship, you found pieces of you that only the fire of such an experience could reveal. So next time you find yourself sitting alone in the quiet moments, staring at the ceiling, or walking through your day with that lingering question still echoing in your mind, why did this happen to me? Just pause for a moment and remind yourself of something important. You weren't a mistake. For a second you didn't end up in that situation because you were weak or flawed or somehow asking for it. You were never chosen by accident. You were handpicked by someone who saw something rare in you, something valuable, something they couldn't create within themselves. Your light, your love, depth, they noticed it before you even fully understood it yourself. And they went after it on purpose, because that's what people who are emotionally starved do. They look for those who have what they lack, and they try to take pieces of it for themselves. And yes, the pain from that experience may still show up sometimes uninvited. Like a shadow that lingers even when the sun is out. It might come in the form of doubt or old memories that hit harder than you expected, or moments where you question whether you're truly healed. But even if the pain sticks around for a while, the growth you gained from it lasts forever. That's the part no one can take from you. The clarity you found about yourself, the strength you discovered deep inside, and the resilience you built along the way. Those things stay with you like armor forged in fire. You came out of that storm, changed not damaged, and that's an important distinction. You walked through something difficult and confusing and at times maybe even heartbreaking, but you made it through, and now you carry with you something powerful, a deeper understanding of who you are, an unshakable knowing that tells you when something feels off and when it's time to walk away. You've learned that peace isn't something you beg for or wait to receive. It's something you choose for yourself every single day. So keep moving forward, even when it feels slow. Keep walking down your path, not because they deserved you, not because they ever truly saw you, not even because you want to prove anything to anyone else, but simply because you deserve peace. You deserve relationships that feel balanced and real. Deserve to be seen without games or manipulation. You deserve to live a life where your heart feels safe again. And now that you know better, you'll do better. You won't repeat the same patterns. You won't ignore the red flags just because you want to believe in someone. You won't give more than you receive just to keep the peace. You'll trust your gut, you'll stand in your truth, and you'll walk away faster than you used to, without guilt and without looking back. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, please take a moment to like this video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss another new upload. This is your channel name, reminding you that healing isn't always a straight line. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it takes longer than we wish. But every step you take, even the shaky ones, is bringing you closer to the life you truly deserve. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.